I just can't figure out what to make for supper tonight. I have no idea. That's the problem that a lot of moms, whoever is responsible for making supper in the homes of your home, always has. What should I make for supper? I remember growing up, my mom would ask me that question, what should I make for supper? I would tell her spaghetti. She'd say, we can't have spaghetti. Why not? We had spaghetti yesterday. I'd tell her we should have spaghetti every day. And she said, we're going to wind up looking like spaghetti. But it's the same problem a priest has. Fortunately, I don't have that problem today because I'm going to a picnic, so that problem's solved. But it's really the same problem that a priest has in trying to figure out Sunday after Sunday, what should I come up with a homily? I mean, you get to a point in your life where you're running out of stories, you're running out of poems, you're running out of jokes, you're running out of stuff, you're running out of material. There was this priest friend of mine. He died about 10 years ago. A really nice guy, in the Diocese of Pittsburgh. And he was at this one parish for 17 years. And every Sunday, he gave the exact same homily, Sunday after Sunday, for 17 years. People loved him. Exact same thing, verbatim. He never used notes. It was the exact same homily. And I said to him one day, you've been given that same homily. And I said this somewhere around year 13 out of the 17 he was there. I said, you've been given the exact same homily now for all these years. Why do you do that? He said, look, until the people start to live what I've been asking them to do in this homily, they're not going to get another one. Now, I might not resort to that, but that's something I'm holding on to because it seems like a pretty good idea. But I thought to myself when I first looked at this gospel, today's gospel is coming out of the 6th chapter of John, verse 41 to 51 inclusive. And when a priest first reads the gospel as he's trying to figure out what to say, what to make for his homily that coming Sunday, I looked at it and I said to myself, hopefully this gospel will offer something that will jump out at me as a message that should be shared with everyone. So the first thing to do, you'll look at the very first verse out of the gospel that was read for this Sunday. Let's take a look. This is chapter 6 of John, verse 41. Now, if you were a priest and you read that verse, you see anything there that would make you want to offer homily about? It says the Jews murmured about Jesus because he said, I am the bread that come down from heaven. When I looked at that, I said to myself, there's really nothing there. Nothing jumps out at me. I'm looking for a command, a suggestion by Jesus on how we should live, and I didn't see one there in that section. So I thought, well, naturally what I have to do is move to the next verse. So let's take a look at the next verse. Now, again, this is going to be a compilation of the 6th chapter of John, verse 41, 42. We just talked about 41, but we're showing it again because it comfortably leads into 42. As you look at that, do you see anything there that if you were a priest, if you were me this morning, you just might want to give your homily on? Well, let's start from the beginning. And we covered that first part. The Jews murmured about Jesus because he said, I am the bread that come down from heaven, in the new section. And they said, is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph? Do we not know his father and mother? Then how can he say, I've come down from heaven? And Jesus answered and said to them, stop murmuring among yourselves. You see anything there that would be good homily material? You see it? How many folks see what I saw? Stop murmuring among yourselves. That's why your brother's a priest, because he came from that background. There it is, guys, the last the line up from the bottom and the center to the end. Stop murmuring among yourselves. Till I looked at that and I said to myself, that's it. That's the message. But what does Jesus mean by the word murmuring? So I thought, okay, I got to try to find out what murmuring means. I have an idea what the word to murmur means, but let me find out what Webster's Dictionary has to say about the word murmur. Let's take a look. This is murmuring according to Webster's Dictionary, the latest edition. The first definition of the word murmuring, which is always the one that's most widely accepted, and definition number 2 is accepted, but not as much as the first one. So this is the first known or first defining point of the word murmuring. The voice, often a soft or loud complaint. And number 2 is to whine often. Now, we all do that. You have a complaint. You want to say it. You're hoping that the person you want to say it to both hears it and at the same time hopefully doesn't hear it, because they're going to get mad. Now, a lot of wives who are convinced that their husbands don't hear a word they say will often offer a soft complaint to her husband. And when you offer a soft complaint to your husband, what happens? What's he going to do? He's going to say, I heard that. She's going to say, well, that's the only thing you ever hear. You didn't hear all the other stuff. It's when you offer loud or soft complaint, or you whine. And the key word here, I think, and it's for both the first and second definition of the word murmuring, is that word often. Often. See, if you just offer a complaint one time, or you whine one time, it actually doesn't seem to fall into the definition of the word murmuring. But Jesus, according to Webster's dictionary, when he uses the word murmur in the 42nd verse of the 6th chapter of John, what he's saying is, when you do that often, all you're doing is whining, all you do is complain. You just do it and do it and do it. You see, what you don't want to do in life is become a PC, a perpetual complainer. But sometimes we can fall into that chasm unintentionally. You complain about something, then you complain about something else, and something else, and something else, and before you know it, that's all you say is a complaint. And the folks around you know that that's the case. So they see you coming, and what do they see? Do they see you? No, they see the cloud of rain over your head. And they say, uh-oh, I'm not sure what he or she's going to say, but I know it's going to be a complaint. And then they're going to offer another and another. And one thing about complaining often, it never lifts you up. It never makes you feel great. I enjoy conversations with people that when you're done with that conversation, you feel good about it. You just feel more of a person after the conversation than you were before. That's good conversation. And you're never going to feel more of a person after you're with someone who is complaining, and when they complain, it is contagious. They offer a complaint. What do you offer? A complaint back. They offer another, you offer another. And when that conversation is ended, you leave, you walk away, and you feel less of a man, less of a woman. You say to yourself, that just doesn't feel good at all. My sunny day has now become darkened because we got involved murmuring. You know what would be interesting? Get a tape recorder and just record all that you say in the course of a day. Now, you might say to yourself when you play the tape recorder back, you might say, because most people do not like the sound of their voice. But we're not worried about the sound of your voice. What I'm asking you to do is listen to your narrative. Listen to your description. Listen to your words. Listen to what you say in that course of a day. Would you say, I said a lot of nice things? Or would you listen to that tape-recorded message of your entire day and almost be embarrassed? I can't believe that I complain and I whine that much. I spend all day long murmuring. You know, there was this fella, he wanted to join this monastery. He wanted to be a monk in a monastery. So he calls up the monastery to find out what the rules and regulations are. The rector of the monastery, the man who runs the monastery, said to him, well, our rules are really tough. You can't say anything for 10 years. At the end of every 10 years, you're allowed to come to see me into the office, my office, and share with me just 2 words. That's it. The guy thought to himself, that's pretty rigid. That's going to be pretty tough. But I want to be a monk in this monastery. I think it's worth it, so he joined. For 10 years, this man never said one word. At the end of the first set of 10 years, the rector calls him into his office and said to him, well, what's your 2 words? The guy looked at the rector and said, food, cold. He said, okay, that's it. Go back to your room. So for another set of 10 years, the guy never said one word. At the end of the second set of 10 years, the rector calls him back into his office and said to him, okay, what's your 2 words this time? The man looks at the rector and he said, bed hard. Okay, that's it. Go back to your room. So the guy went back to his room for another 10 years. He never said a word. At the end of this third set of 10 years, the rector calls him back into his office. He said to him, well, tell me, what's your 2 words this time? He said, I quit. And the rector said, about time, all you ever did around here is complain. But it's so easy to fall into the chasm of always complaining. Sometimes we do it so often, so unintentional, that we don't even realize it. And then you become known in the circle around you as a complainer. And those are the kind of people you do your best to shy away from, because they never buoy your spirits. They always lower your heart. They always make a sunny day cloudy and a pretty day rainy. 42nd verse of 6th chapter of John, right at the very end of the verse itself, Jesus gives the command. He says, stop murmuring among yourselves. And if it's something you do, and maybe you don't realize it. So what you want to do today, even if you don't record your voice, just listen to what you are saying when you talk to someone else today, tomorrow. Just run a little self-reflective test on yourself. Listen to what you're talking about. Just listen. And you might be shocked, and you might be saying, well, I didn't realize I complained that much. Or you might be pleasantly surprised and say, well, I'm happy to know that I don't complain. I really don't say many negative things. That's to your credit. That's a compliment to you. Keep that going. But if you spend some time today or tomorrow reflecting and listening to what you say, and you realize, most of the things I say are a complaint, or I do a lot of whining. The 42nd verse, the 6th chapter of John is then for you. Because if you fall into that category, what would Jesus say to you? He would say, stop murmuring among yourselves.